You are listening to the Strictly Biased podcast with Will Rutherford. This week, Will reacts to Week 14 of the NFL schedule, and he has some opinions on the college football playoff selection. And it's only on the Central Indiana Sports Report.
Welcome back, everybody, to Strictly Biased with yours truly, Will Retherford. I am here tonight to recap Week 14 of the NFL slate, which saw a lot of surprises and answered a lot of questions I think that we have had so far throughout the course of this season. I am joined tonight by the legend, Greg Menegrel. Greg, thank you so much for being with us here tonight.
Thanks for letting me be your sidekick, Will.
Absolutely. We've had conversations of potentially bringing some guests in here in the next few weeks. I am going to be on Christmas break from Ball State. Greg, I would like to start off by talking about something that we don't usually talk about, and that's college football, if you would let me have the floor here for just a second.
Absolutely.
I think that we have reached a critical impasse in college football where the conversation between deserving and best needs to really begin to infiltrate the powers that be. It's incredibly disappointing to play a 14-week college football season, and we're forced to watch James Madison at Oregon and Tulane at Ole Miss, a matchup that's already happened this year. In case anybody's wondering, Ole Miss won by 35 points. And I think it's that way because the fans deserve better than that. College football deserves to have its best teams playing in the playoffs, regardless of what people want to say about, it's like the NCAA where every team has a chance. No, it's not like that. Every team doesn't have a chance. We're going to see 30-point spreads in these two games, and it just doesn't have to be that way. You sent a BYU team home that went to their conference championship and was punished for being in their conference championship. You sent home a Notre Dame team that while they did lose to Miami and they could have ultimately played their way into the tournament, they had been put in the rankings every single week since their losses at at home against Texas A&M and at Miami. And then all of a sudden this week they're out. And it just begs the question of what we're doing. I think that college football is at a point where you're going to really start to lose fans. And they say viewership's up and to the right, and they say it's better than ever, and this, that, and the other, and the parity. Show us the parity. Let the best teams in the playoff. You need to change the format. If not, you're going to lose fans as quickly as you gained them.
So you're going to tell 5 different conferences that they just don't belong?
Absolutely. It's be better football programs, or you need to differentiate between the two divisions again and have 3 Division I divisions at this point. But it is just absolutely brutal that you do not have your best teams playing. You have games that should matter for these playoff positions, and you have teams at home that should be playing in them. Would you rather watch JMU at Oregon, or would you rather watch Notre Dame at Oregon?
I would rather have an underdog with an opportunity, yes, that won their conference championship and didn't lose their first 2 games of the season. Absolutely.
And their argument can be said. Oregon had it all out in front of them, as did Vanderbilt, as did Texas, as did BYU. I think of all the teams, they have the best argument that they should probably be in. But at this point, I think that we need to see the best football be played and let the other group of 8 conferences have their own playoffs. Why don't you
just go to 24 like the other divisions in your own organization? The other NCAA divisions have 24.
We're wasting our time here. It just doesn't matter. This is the year that it'd been better off if they'd just done 4. Because there's only 4 teams that have a chance of winning it. I'm glad you think that. But until college football figures it out, I'm quite frankly kind of getting tired of everybody on Facebook, Twitter, any social media platform bitching and moaning. This is a systematic issue that must be fixed to gain the legitimacy that college football deserves and is warranted, because college basketball has a perfect system.
Will, on that, you and I agree. It needs fixed.
Greg, I've already said a lot, and I have a lot more to say, but first, what would you like to know?
Who's going to play quarterback for the Colts, and does it matter?
It does matter. I don't know. This news of Riley Leonard with a knee injury, and they're questioning whether he's going to be available for their game next Sunday at Seattle. It definitely begs the question of what they're going to do. Obviously, the news that Philip Rivers, who is 44 years old, is going to fly to Indy on Tuesday for a workout. I feel like there's better options, to be completely frank with you, than that. I can't imagine that's their best option. I was kind of expecting maybe a Russell Wilson or a Joe Flacco to potentially get waived, and the Colts could try to go after him just to give themselves somebody that's actually played professional football the last 4 years. If Riley Leonard can't go, I guess Philip Rivers is better than the alternative probably. But I think if Riley Leonard can go, I think that's your guy.
Anthony Richardson, man.
I wish that was the case. I just don't.
Yeah.
For what there's no news. They've been so quiet about
He's done.
his availability. I think he's done
This would
probably.
have been his chance, and it's just kind of too bad.
It's really unfortunate. He had a chance to potentially play himself into a job this last year to be a hero in a city that he has kind of been the scapegoat and the villain the last 2 years. He had the opportunity to change the opinions of people, and he could absolutely play in this offense. Would it be as
Yep.
successful or as fluid as with Daniel Jones? Probably not, but he's still plenty good enough. He has plenty talent. He has enough athleticism to get the job done to win 2 games, which is what the Colts need to do.
I'm not sure Tyler Warren's not a better option than Philip Rivers.
I'm kind of with you there. I don't know that Philip Rivers is the best option. I mean, I guess you'd like to, if he's been working out. I mean, he's been coaching high school football in Alabama for the last 3 years. Is he really continuing to work out like a professional athlete? I can't imagine. I know they say you can throw a ball forever, but it just feels like an awful lot, especially in a system that he didn't play in. He played under Frank Reich and Indy, didn't play under Steichen. It seems confusing. I feel like there's a better alternative somewhere than that. I hope Riley Leonard could go because I think there was enough flash of potential that, given a week of practice, which it doesn't sound like he's probably going to get, they could have tailored a game plan to really benefit and play up to his skill set. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen if they're already questioning whether he's available. They're in a really bad situation. This is about a worst case scenario.
All right, well, let's talk about some winners and losers.
Hey, Will, who are the winners and the losers of the week? Hey, Will, who are the winners and the losers of the week?
Greg, I'm glad you said that. Let's jump right in. We'll start with the losers as we always do. Thought a big loser this week was the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm.
They obviously still have a chance. I believe it's under 20% to make the playoffs. I think their only avenue is to win the division. The Steelers are bad enough to fall apart. The Ravens have enough talent that they can string together some wins. They had the opportunity to go and win that football game yesterday, and regardless of what you say about the Isaiah Likely catch, if that's not a catch in the NFL, I struggle to understand what is, if you want my opinion. But for whatever reason, the Steelers, which don't even get it's worse that they are going to be in the playoffs than not, because somebody's going to just get an absolute gimme game to go on to the second round. This Steelers team has no business being in the playoffs. They're disgusting to watch. It's gross football. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers, what he's doing at 42 years old. The Steelers team just does not deserve to be in the postseason.
And yet, they're going to be.
They still have to play the Ravens again. The Ravens have a chance to even the division out in terms of having a game up on them. We'll see. I still.
It's strange, but I watched part of that game yesterday, and the Steelers are better than the Ravens. It's just strange.
I think the Ravens defense is bad, and the Ravens have gotten away with having a lack of skill position players for a couple of years now. Dave Flowers is their only good receiver that's on their roster. And Lamar Jackson's just not been Lamar. I think he's battling an injury. He's battling something. Whatever it is, he's just not looking the same.
He's battling something.
We'll talk about another team battling, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were another huge loser, getting upset at home to a bad New Orleans Saints team.
Ooh, bad, man.
Baker Mayfield just I don't know if the league's catching up and catching on to whatever he's done. There's a lot of tape out there. I find it hard to believe that he just suddenly is getting played differently. I think that the lack of Mike Evans is terms of a vertical stretch in this offense is huge. For as good as Emeka Egbuka has been, I think this team is really starting to miss Jalen McMillan as a depth wide receiver who jumped in last year after the Chris Godwin injury and played a phenomenal wide receiver too and complemented Mike Evans really well. I think they're missing him. He has returned to practice. I think that the outlook is good for him to potentially play this season, but
They'll
they're
have
kind
enough
of getting
weapons.
by.
They still have
They
enough
have
weapons.
enough weapons.
I think Baker's injured.
Well, I think that there is something wrong with that shoulder. He just doesn't seem to be driving and ripping through the ball like he normally
Right.
does. They're 7-6. They're still right there with the Panthers. They're better than the Panthers. They play twice. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks sweep that series, still end up at 11-6, 10-7 at the worst. I still wouldn't want to play them in the postseason because I think they could. If Baker's hot, they can absolutely steal games. The Cowboys were a huge loser. I think they saw their playoff chances slip in between their fingers Thursday night against the Lions. That was essentially a playoff eliminator. The Cowboys lost a tough one. They just couldn't stop the Lions. They couldn't stop Jahmyr Gibbs. And now you're seeing a team that is, I believe at this moment, a top 10 team in this league in terms of how they've played the last 2 months. But they started the season so bad that they just aren't going to give themselves an opportunity. And that's why
Nope.
every game matters in this league. When you only play 17 games, every single game matters. Dak's playing unbelievable. They have all the talent on the outside with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. They finally have a good back in Javonte Williams. And for whatever reason, they're just not going to be able to put it together because they couldn't win games in September and October. Greg, I know you're going to love to hear this one. The Chiefs, huge loser this week, and I think they saw their playoff chances go too. Their schedule's too tough down the stretch, I think, for them to only not lose another game, and I just don't see it happening.
I've been telling you since before the season, you just cannot continue to go through postseason after postseason and then get old with one of your best players and still continue to win. It's just not going to happen.
It's so surprising to me how good they have been historically in one-score games and how bad they've been this year in one-score games. Obviously, they get an overtime winner against the Colts. That Texans defense just looked like the Chiefs had no answers for them, to be completely honest with you. I don't know if I've ever seen Pat Mahomes so just rattled. It just felt like that he had no time to make anything happen. They dropped the ball left and right. Kelsey basically put the ball in a Houston defender's hands there with the drive only down a touchdown. It just wasn't good enough for the Chiefs, and unfortunately, they're going to see their playoff chances disappear because of a loss at home against the Texans, which is a game the Chiefs always win. Always win that game historically. I think they're just a tier below where they've been the last few years. I think the
They'll
injuries
recover.
have caught up with them. They will recover, absolutely. We'll see if it is with Travis Kelce still as Mahomes' second offensive option now. I think Rashee Rice has definitely taken his role. I still think the Chiefs need to find a way to get Xavier Worthy to ball more. I think he's too talented of a playmaker. They were really good last year, the last 8 games, because they found a way to get him the ball in space. He's an electric playmaker. They need to solve a solution at running back. I see them addressing that probably in this draft. But this Chiefs team, just a day late and a dollar short this season. I think it's over for this year.
Seemed inevitable to me.
Greg, it's no surprise who the biggest loser is this week. It's the Indianapolis Colts, who just a devastating loss in Jacksonville, even more so because they lose the leader and the quarterback of that team, Daniel Jones, who just played his ass off for this organization, this fan base, this city, the state. He left it all out there. There's definitely a lot to hang your hat on in terms of his ability to be a leader and be tough and play through injury. Did it ultimately lead to this Achilles tear? I think it's begs the question that when one leg is compromised and you're putting a little bit more weight distribution and just overall movement on your other leg, that there might be some consequences of that. The Colts figured that out. I think Jonathan Taylor was just seemed a little sloppier. That fumble of Jonathan Taylor, so uncharacteristic. He's not a running back that reaches out. And then for whatever reason, a 60-degree day in Jacksonville where it's torrential downpour, he reaches the ball, it gets poked out, it's wet.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
that was a game that felt doomed from the beginning. The second that Daniel Jones threw that pick on the first Colts possession of the game yesterday, it just felt like, oh boy, here we are, the same old shenanigans we always run into in Jacksonville.
And then it got worse. Can I throw in an honorable mention?
I think you can, absolutely.
The Cincinnati Bengals. They were right there with a chance to win the division, and Joe Burrow, who was just amazing on Sunday, threw one of the worst passes ever. Just did not think a guy was going to make a play who did, and the Bengals season is over.
I had them on this list, but I think it was so far in left field that they were probably going to have a chance to begin with.
And the way the Steelers and Ravens are playing, you could hear their footsteps, but now it's over.
I think so. Hell, maybe 8-9 wins the division.
Yeah.
As crazy as that sounds, maybe it's not over. If they win out, I could see the Steelers only winning one more game. I could see the Ravens only winning a couple more games. It's definitely not outside the realm of possibility. We'll see.
Listen to their schedule, Will. Ravens, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. 3 of the 4 at home.
If you can't go and win that, potentially give yourself even an opportunity to win the division, you didn't deserve to be there anyway. I think it's
front of them.
It's all out in front of them. Even at this point, it's as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
The Steelers can absolutely lose games easily. They're quite compromised in terms of their capabilities.
At this point, the Steelers and Ravens could lose to anybody.
Craig, are you ready to start with winners?
Oh, man, am I ever.
Well, it sucks we have to talk about them even more, but the Steelers were a winner this week because they win a game in Baltimore that they needed to win. And he has historically been great against Lamar Jackson. Those are two teams that still have to play each other another time, so it definitely could be a huge shakeup in terms of the AFC playoff picture. But the Steelers right now are in the driver's seat in their division. They are the worst team in the playoff picture by far. By a lot, actually. I don't know that
Carolina Panthers would like a
in the AFC playoff picture.
Okay,
let's put it that way.
Correct. Well, they do worse.
They get the job done when they had to. I'm glad they might get a chance to have another winning season. That's awesome. So proud of them. I love picking 18 to 21 every year and getting my ass beat in the wild card round. Hey, we love it. Absolutely love it. But I'm done. You know what? I'm done talking about the Steelers.
Good.
The Bills were a big winner this week.
Yes.
Why? Because they really needed to win that game. They had to win that game. If they lose that game, potentially out of the playoff picture. I don't know where the tiebreaker was with them and the Colts, but you don't have to worry about it now. They're 9-4. I think they're probably a lock to get in at this point. I see them winning one more game, probably 2 more games down the stretch. I could definitely see that. I could see them still winning their division, to be completely honest with you. If they're able to
Josh Allen,
win this game against the Patriots, what a player. Special. The fact that we get to watch him is a blessing.
Oh, man, he was so good, especially in the second half yesterday.
I've never seen a player be able to elevate their game to wherever it needs to be week in and week out as he does. It just feels like he can just flip a switch and say, okay, now I'm going to take this game over. He can sit back and just be that point guard and distribute the ball, be on time, be precise, just take care of the football. And at the same time, he can still rev it up and be the athlete, be the gunslinger that they need him to be when it matters the most. Just the code switching that he's able to do, I'm not sure I've ever seen an NFL quarterback be as good at that in my lifetime as he is.
He's about to win a Super Bowl with a not very good team, I'm telling you.
I still think you're wrong, although I think that my 5 most likely will reflect that I respect the Bills.
Josh Allen.
I respect Josh Allen. I think Sean McDermott can be an absolute goof.
He's a pretty good one, though.
He's good. He's good. I'm not saying he's not good. But he can be a goof when he wants. He has moments where you just look and say,
"Yes,
Sean, what the hell were you thinking?" But That's with most coaches, to be quite outside of the top 8. I think that most coaches are right around the same point, right around the same level in terms of their ability to scheme, win games, and call plays. Another great play caller that has his team on the winners for Will Retherford is the Green Bay Packers, who I think absolutely took control of the NFC North. They have started week by week to ease my concern that they are inconsistent. They seem to have found a strategy and a game plan that works best for them to be conducive to whatever they need it to be, to adapt to the game plan that the other team has in front of them. I think their defensive front four is really starting to figure it out. I think that their secondary with Jeff Halfley is also playing their best ball at the right time. And Jordan Love, he has that Carson Wentz in him where he can just give you the ball up, but he's really in a stretch right now where he's playing great football. He's spreading it out. He's airing the ball out, throwing down the field. He's just been everything the Packers have needed him to be the last 3 weeks when you kind of felt like they were on the ropes a little bit in terms of where they were going to go. They were kind of right at the teeter-totter, and it's been really positive for them this last 3-game stretch. I think the Packers have warranted the conversation that they are an elite NFC team at this point.
Don't tell Michelle, but I agree with you.
Well, Michelle's going to love who's right in front of him as a winner this week, and that's the Detroit Lions, who when they play their best football, is still better than this Green Bay Packers team. The Lions won a game they had to win. Dan Campbell was just pressing all the right buttons. They score 44 points. Amon-Ra St. Brown on a bum ankle goes out and has 6 receptions for 92 yards. Jared Goff spreading the ball out all over the yard. Jahmyr Gibbs 3 touchdowns. When this Lions team decides they want to give Jahmyr Gibbs the ball 30 times a game, I don't think there's a team in the league that can stop him. It's just getting the ball in his hands that often. Laporta's injury is going to loom large in the playoffs as far as Jared Goff having a safety valve. I still think their defense is beaten and battered. Can they win a Super Bowl? No. They can beat any team in that NFC, though, and get there if their offense is firing on all cylinders the way we saw on Thursday night against Dallas. I think you're going to agree with my biggest winner, too, and that's the Houston Texans. That is a scary team. That is a team nobody wants to see in the playoffs. That is a team that can shut down the elite of the elite in this NFL. They have Mahomes and Allen throwing 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions combined in their 2 matchups they've played. 2 of those teams the last 3 weeks. Jacksonville did Houston a huge service by losing that 29-10 lead that they had about 5 weeks ago. It gave Houston a spark that they have just turned into completely turning their season around after an 0-3 beginning.
Gave them a second life.
They gave him a second life, and they've absolutely taken advantage of it. Jaden Higgins continues to be admirable number 2. I think he's growing into that role. They drafted him and gave him the guaranteed money in the second round for a reason. He's a mini Nico Collins. In 3 years, we're going to be sitting here saying this Houston receiving core is impossible to stop with all the talent that they have. I think that this is a team that even if they don't win it this year or don't win a playoff game, this is a team next year that you look at and say there might not be a team that can beat them because their defense is just that elite that it makes teams terrified to play them. And I think you're going to see that reflected on the 5 most likely win the Super Bowl.
Well, last year I said that the Texans were a team of 2025. I believe that coming into the season they were going to be pretty good, but I just don't think they have the offensive pieces to contend with the very best. But you're right. They go into any game with a chance.
They make even the most elite offenses look pedestrian. That's what they've done. They have absolutely shut teams down. I'm not sure outside of the Jacksonville game where they scored 29 points. I don't know that they've given up more than 24 points the entire year. They've been that good. They've lost some tough games, and I do think that their offense is an issue. I don't think they're super efficient. I think C.J. Stroud is settled into this tier where he's not the elite player that he was touted to be his rookie year, but he's also a good quarterback in his own right. And that's okay. There's a reason that not everybody can be a superstar. Not everybody can be the best. Sometimes you got to have guys that are just good enough to get the job done. I think that's Stroud at this point of his career. The running game a little less to be desired. Their offensive line's bad, but they have the playmakers outside that if Stroud can just kind of get on one here and be throwing the ball around the yard really efficiently, their offensive skill positions are good enough to get the job done. Nico Collins is unguardable. He's open every single play. I I've never seen anything like it in my life. He's just it feels like every time Stroud needs to just throw the ball up, Nico Collins is wide open for whatever reason.
Will, can I throw you an honorable mention?
Yeah, I you know what? I think there's room for honorable mentions in both of these this week.
Chicago Bears.
I think they are a winner even though they lost because they proved that
Right.
they are legit. They are good enough. Can they win a
They're-
Super Bowl? No, but they can contend.
And they're a franchise on the rise with this, the way they've looked the last couple weeks.
Absolutely. If Caleb Williams can just learn how to be a more accurate passer, if he can just get to 65% of his passes complete, they're going to be a real problem because this run game that Ben Johnson has schemed up is unreal. They've rebuilt their offensive line this past offseason. It's paid dividends for them. This is a Bears team that I think is a team for next year as well in that division.
And well, who are the 5 teams most likely to win Super Bowl 60 in the play?
Greg, this list is awfully similar to last week. There's one team that's different. I think that you'll disagree with me, I'm sure, but I think the argument for them is fair. We'll just jump right into it. My fifth most likely in the Super Bowl is the Houston Texans because I watched them shut down Patrick Mahomes. I watched them shut down Josh Allen. I watched them shut down the Denver Broncos for most of the game. I've watched them stop whoever they wanted to stop. Whenever they wanted to do it, however they wanted to do it, whether it be a sack, whether it be a forced fumble, whether it be an interception, they take the ball away. They're ruthless. They're physical. They're a dangerous team if you let them get into the playoffs. This team can absolutely get to the AFC Championship off their defensive prowess alone. If Stroud can even touch his rookie season, CJ Stroud, this team can still win a Super Bowl this year because the AFC is wide open. An elite defense right now can win you games.
I agree.
Moving on. The Buffalo Bills. I still have them just below the Broncos because I think the Broncos defense is good enough to slow Josh Allen down just enough to give them a chance. I also do not love the stylistic matchup of Buffalo's run defense against Denver. I think that it leaves a little to be desired. I think that RJ Harvey is really coming into his own, has become an elite skill player for this Denver Broncos team. I think there's talk that J.K. Dobbins could potentially be back for the postseason. I think Bo Nix is good enough on his legs to get you a couple first downs if you needed them on 3rd and long. If I was to pick, I think it's just about a toss-up. I'd give the Broncos the edge at home in this theoretical game against the Bills. Maybe by 1.5 would be all it would be on. I like this Broncos team a lot. I like this Bills team a lot, and I still think that right now they deserve are warranted to be on the list. These last 4 weeks could change my mind to have the Bills over the Broncos. I've already given away my number 3. It is Denver. The top 3 have not changed for me. I really like this Denver team. They just continue to find a way to get the job done. That game was not a one-score game. It was 24-14. They controlled the ball for 2/3 of the game. They just shut the Raiders down, and that Raiders team is bad. No question about it. But the Broncos have just found ways to win close ball games all year. That's a trait I like going into the postseason in these tough matchups. I think their defense is really good at holding teams to 3. This Broncos team is good enough, I think, to win a Super Bowl in a wide-open AFC and a wide-open NFC for that matter. If you don't believe in Denver at this point, I don't know who you believe in because I think on paper and on their resume, this is the best team the AFC has to offer at this moment.
I don't really believe in the Denver Broncos as a Super Bowl contender, but they're going to be a home through the playoffs and a tough place to play, so you got to have them on the list, I think.
I just think that their resume is complete. They've beaten the Chiefs. They've beaten the Eagles. They've beaten the Texans. They've beaten teams that they've had to beat.
We're about to see their downfall, I believe.
You could be right. You could be wrong. I still that game that they have coming up against Jacksonville, I think will tell a lot. The Seahawks still stay at number 2 for me. They get the job done yesterday. It looked kind of ugly in Atlanta there for the first half. It was 6-6 going into halftime, and then they just jumped out to score 31 points there in the second half. They have it. They have all the talent to go do it. This NFC's wide open. I think the two best teams reside in the NFC West. That's why my number 1 team is the LA Rams. They're the most complete team at this point with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Blake Corum, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford. The list goes on and on. Their offensive line's keeping Stafford upright. He looks like a younger version of himself. This Rams team, I just think that right now they look too complete and they just look too good. I don't think it's going to be an easy road for them, but I think that they could kind of walk through the NFC right now.
I just don't believe in Sam Darnold at all. So I see in the NFC really the Rams and Packers are starting to kind of separate themselves to me. In the AFC, I just think the Bills are the best team. I think the Broncos and Patriots both have to like their chances of ending up in the Super Bowl. Honestly, even the Patriots, they're going to be playing at home in an AFC that doesn't have a power team, and you got to like their chances of winning those games in Foxborough in January.
Yeah, my sleeper team is the Texans. I think that
I'd
the
have
Patriots
Texans
don't
on
want
my
to play the
top 5 right
Texans.
now. I'd probably have the Texans number 2 behind the Bills right now in the AFC, honestly.
They're awfully dangerous. You know what? This Jacksonville team's they're good. I think you can say they're good. I don't trust them. They're not good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, pretender. Complete.
They're good. They're good enough to be a playoff team. They're good enough to win 10 games. They're good enough to probably win a playoff game. They're just not good enough, I think, to beat. I say that, and there's no reason they can't beat the Bill. There's no reason that any of these teams can't beat each other. I think that's the beauty of the season is it's wide open.
You're right.
It's as wide open as it can be.
Most that I can ever remember.
Yep. In both divisions, in both conferences, in every division, it's wide open right now.
I don't think you can say. I think about 10 teams you throw them in a hat right now with 4 weeks left. I'm sure some of those will be able to eliminate, but teams not even on your list, I think, could make a run. The Chargers, for example, I have no idea.
Their schedules too. They're the team I think will miss the playoffs.
You're right, but if they got in the playoffs, they're good enough to beat teams. The Cowboys you mentioned, if they got in the playoffs, are good enough to beat teams. The Lions, I think, probably belong on the list, even though they might not make the playoffs. And the Bears probably aren't going to this year, but it's a kind of crazy year.
Every team has a weakness. Every team has a weakness. Every team has a strength.
And the Chargers is their head coach. So don't count them out, man. I'm just telling you.
No, Herbert can goof playoff games.
Yeah.
There's about 8 quarterbacks in that tier where at any moment they can be both a top 3 quarterback in the league or a bottom 8 quarterback in the league, and Herbert is in that tier where he can just absolutely give you games away.
Thank you so much to Will for joining me once again and talking some NFL. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to do us a huge favor, all you have to do is share this podcast with a football fan in your life and help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is talking about what Central Indiana sports fans are talking about every single day. Thanks again, Will. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.